hapless husband of hers, old Ginger Nuts, what's his name? Oh, that's right, Harry, is also said to be far from happy with the poor press he's been getting too.
It is very obvious this guy is not in a good place.
We do know that Harry's been very vocal about his alcohol and his drug use and how he uses drugs to mask his anxieties and his past grief with the death of his mother.
You dumb ginger. You leave your title because you don't like your 94-year-old grandma? That's the definition of something you wait out.
We understand that Prince Harry's planning to ask King Charles and Prince William to the games. They are being held in the UK next.
What about Harry's father, King Charles, who no longer speaks to him because of his appalling behaviour?
Harry last year wrote a book called Spare, which smashed his brother, his father, his mother-in-law, his sister-in-law, the media, and many, many others in one giant whinge.
It was just sterile and awful, and I hate her. I'm so sorry, I really do.
Now, I don't know what he and his wife expected from this. Was it pity, sympathy at their hard life, or just the millions of dollars they've earned from betraying Harry's family?
Something's off, and the palace isn't the only one noticing. In a royal family built on tradition, consistency, and carefully choreographed appearances, Prince Harry's sudden slide into invisibility feels intentional, maybe even strategic. But one thing's for sure, this isn't the same man who used to charm crowds, command headlines, and represent the monarchy on the world stage.
He fears that if Archie and Lilibet retain their HRH titles, their parents, their venal parents, will cash in on that.
According to royal trackers, Harry has only participated in 17 public engagements in all of 2025. That's not a quiet year, that's a royal blackout. And here's the kicker, this wasn't some last-minute retreat. This steady disappearance has been unfolding for months, almost like a slow, deliberate erasure. From the outside, it looks like Harry is either shutting down or being shut out.
They'll use their kids' titles to make money, just like they already are, just like Meghan already is cashing in on her minor royal status.
Back in the day, he was the people's prince. Soldiers loved him, school children lit up around him, and even die-hard monarchists found him refreshing. But these days, he's a ghost. The very same outlets that once couldn't get enough of him are now asking, where did Prince Harry go? Sources close to the palace say it's become an open secret. Harry is barely on the radar anymore. He no longer sits at the table when major decisions are made. He's not being looped in on ceremonial duties. And worst of all, there's no plan to reintegrate him. He's not just out, he might be out for good.
We should hope that the kid looks more like Meghan than Harry. No offense, but Harry kind of looks like the guy who played Screech, may he rest in peace.
One royal commentator put it bluntly. He's become the monarchy's shiny appendage, still attached in name, but totally removed in function. Harsh, but is it wrong? Even die-hard Sussex supporters have started to wonder if Harry is adrift. His appearances feel random and disconnected. Charity events in private, podcast cameos with no follow-up, and brief flashes of visibility that vanish just as quickly as they arrive. It's like he's trying to prove something but can't figure out to whom. And while Harry fades from public life, the royal machine keeps grinding forward with or without him. King Charles has tightened his circle, William has stepped up, and not a single insider believes Harry is part of the plan. But if you think that's the whole story, you're wrong. Because Harry didn't just drift away, something happened. Something that made William turn cold, and it all started with a silent invitation that never got a reply.
We know that he talked about in his book Spare how he relied on alcohol and drugs to mask how he felt amid panic attacks after his mom's death.
They say silence speaks louder than words, and when it comes to the royal response to Harry's latest olive branch, the silence has been absolutely deafening. The Invictus Games have always been Harry's crown jewel. It's the one royal-adjacent initiative he's managed to keep alive, one that still draws global attention and gives him a shred of the purpose he once had inside the firm. So when rumors began swirling that Harry quietly reached out to invite both King Charles and Prince William to attend the 2027 Games, insiders were hopeful. Maybe, just maybe, this was a step toward healing old wounds. Except, no one replied. According to sources, Harry extended the invitation through back channels, discreetly, respectfully, and without any public posturing. He wanted to avoid drama, but what he got in return was total silence. No official response, no private message, not even a "we'll think about it." And William, insiders say he didn't hesitate. He made it clear behind closed doors, there would be no show of support. Not this time, not after everything that's been said, not after the interviews, the Netflix digs, the memoir bombs. The bridges, in William's view, aren't just burnt, they're ashes.
He was willing to drink, he was willing to take drugs, he was willing to try and do things that made him feel like he was actually feeling.
One source close to Kensington Palace revealed that William sees any public show of reconciliation as a ticking PR time bomb. He allegedly warned staff that appearing alongside Harry would only invite speculation and reignite unwanted headlines. In short, the message was this: don't reward the drama. Even Charles, who has occasionally shown flashes of softening toward Harry, remained conspicuously quiet. No gesture, no private letter, no acknowledgement of the invite. Some royal insiders believe the king is now deferring entirely to William when it comes to Sussex matters, and William isn't budging. And while Harry may have extended that invite in good faith, the rejection hit hard. It wasn't just about the games, it was about legacy, about family, about proving that he still belonged in the royal conversation. But instead, what he got was a reminder that, at least in the palace's eyes, he doesn't. And if Harry thought Meghan could help turn the tide with a little star power, well, what she said next in New York only made things worse.
There's a history there. There's a history of Harry not being able to cope with life.
If there was ever a moment to regain public favor, this wasn't it. Meghan Markle took the stage in New York recently, solo, polished, and poised, and delivered a speech that had all the makings of a sympathetic comeback. But then came that line, the same one that's been dragging behind her for years like a bad headline she just won't let go. She claimed again that she had once been the most trolled person in the world, and just like that, the internet exploded. Critics pounced almost instantly. Pundits labeled it tone deaf. Royal watchers called it performative. And on social media, let's just say people didn't hold back. One viral post read, "She really said that while Gaza's trending and women are literally risking their lives online. Unbelievable." Another user wrote, "She's not even in the top 10 of most trolled celebs. Just stop." But here's the thing, this wasn't the first time she said it. It was a recycled claim from an old podcast, one that had already been fact-checked, picked apart, and widely disputed. Yet there she was, saying it again, as if repeating it would finally make it true. To her supporters, it was a moment of bravery, a woman reclaiming her story. But to her critics, it came off as calculated, as if she was trying to reset the narrative by digging up old trauma and banking on public sympathy. And in a world so saturated with crisis and real-time suffering, many just weren't in the mood. Even her delivery sparked backlash. Some called it too polished, too scripted, like an audition for a role no one asked for. And others noticed what wasn't said. No mention of Harry, no nod to the palace. It was all Meghan, all message, all carefully packaged.
The picture in London showed that this is not a man who has his wits about him in a whole load of ways.
Behind the scenes, insiders say the royals rolled their eyes. One source close to the palace claimed it confirmed everything William already believes, that Meghan's focus isn't family, it's fame. And with Harry slowly disappearing from the spotlight, her solo appearance only fueled whispers that the Sussexes are now operating on two very different tracks. But the real damage wasn't done on stage, it happened after. Because Meghan's speech didn't just rattle public opinion, it reignited tensions with the palace. And apparently, she's not done talking. For years, Meghan held her tongue, or at least that's what her team claims. But now, the gloves are off, and the target is very, very clear. According to insiders, Meghan has privately accused the royal family of abandoning Harry long before he ever walked away. Behind the scenes, she's reportedly furious, not just about her own treatment, but about how Harry was allegedly left twisting in the wind when he needed his family the most. "You never protected him," she allegedly told a friend, referring to senior royals. "You let the press tear him apart and then blamed me when he cracked under the pressure." And while Meghan's comments haven't been made publicly, at least not yet, those close to the firm are already reacting. A source close to Buckingham Palace says the accusations have sent shockwaves through certain circles, especially among aides who recall how many times Harry was offered behind-the-scenes support. But Meghan apparently doesn't see it that way. She believes the family's coldness was deliberate, strategic, that from the very beginning Harry's mental health was downplayed and his public image was sacrificed to protect the bigger royal machine. And when she entered the picture, she claims it only got worse.
There are growing concerns that perhaps he is back to abusing drugs in some way.
Everything changed the moment Meghan arrived, one royal commentator explained. She challenged the status quo, she asked questions no one was supposed to ask, and when the institution pushed back, she made it about Harry. That's how this whole narrative flipped from rebellious wife to protective partner. But the palace, for its part, isn't having it. In fact, insiders say this latest round of finger-pointing has made any hope of reconciliation even more remote. William, in particular, is said to be deeply insulted by Meghan's claim that he failed his brother. One source close to Kensington said the accusation felt like a gut punch, especially given how many times William allegedly tried to check in with Harry before things spiraled. Still, Meghan's camp is standing firm. They're pushing a different story, one where Harry was drowning, and the royals stood by, arms folded. and whether you believe it or not, this version of events is gaining traction online. But while Meghan's pointing fingers, something else is unraveling inside the Sussex world, because apparently, people are fleeing fast. It's one thing to face royal rejection, it's another when your own inner circle starts to crumble. In just the past few weeks, not one, not two, but 4 staffers have reportedly walked out of Team Sussex. And it's not just low-level assistants or interns. These are senior figures, people with direct access to Harry and Meghan, people who until recently were defending them behind the scenes. Now, they're gone, and they're not exactly leaving quietly. One anonymous source called the current mood inside the Sussex camp unbearably tense. Another described it as a slow implosion. And the reasons behind the exits are just as dramatic as you'd expect. From allegations of emotional burnout, to whispers of micromanagement, to claims that morale has hit rock bottom.
There was, of course, that infamous doorbell picture where it really did look as if he was on the hunt for something illicit.
One insider claimed Meghan had grown obsessively controlling over messaging, while Harry, in contrast, had become increasingly withdrawn, rarely present in meetings, sometimes skipping them altogether. It's like she's trying to steer the ship alone, the source said, and he's already halfway overboard. There's also speculation that Harry's recent behavior is frustrating his staff. Some say he waffles on decisions. Others believe he's simply overwhelmed, trying to protect his brand, support Meghan, and find relevance outside the royal bubble, but failing to do all three. And then there's the issue of loyalty. A former employee told a friend that staffers no longer feel protected when drama hits the headlines. They're expected to spin stories, defend moves, even clean up social media messes. But when the backlash gets personal, there's radio silence from the top. That kind of dynamic doesn't last long in the high-stakes world of celebrity branding. Meanwhile, speculation is swirling over who might be next to jump ship. Some believe the couple may attempt to rebrand again, bringing in new hires to restore order. But others aren't so sure, because it's not just the staff who feel abandoned. Word is, William sees this entire unraveling as karmic, that Harry is now getting a taste of what it means to burn bridges and to stand on the outside with no one left to call. And while William may not be speaking publicly, he doesn't need to, because insiders say his silence hides a deep and bitter fury. He's not yelling, he's not giving interviews, but make no mistake, William is angry, and it's not the kind of anger that explodes and fades. It's the kind that simmers quietly, building over time, turning into something colder, something harder to forgive.
Self-harming, gruesome twosome actually believe that the growing crisis of their toxic image and plummeting popularity can be solved by an office shake-up. Yeah, right.
Those closest to Prince William say the impact of Harry's departure still cuts deep, not just emotionally but structurally, because Harry wasn't just a brother. He was supposed to be a partner, a stabilizing force for the future of the monarchy, a living buffer between William and the crushing expectations of being king. And then he was gone. He left a hole, one palace insider confessed, a hole that no one's been able to fill. Behind the scenes, William has kept a tight lid on his emotions. He doesn't speak Harry's name often. He rarely engages in conversations about Meghan. But when he does, the bitterness slips through. A clipped comment here, a tense pause there, a glance that lingers too long when someone brings up the Oprah interview or that explosive memoir. But what really stung, according to insiders, wasn't the exit. It was the way Harry rewrote the story, how he painted himself as the victim, the outcast, the brother who was pushed out. William, meanwhile, was recast as the cold heir, the establishment's puppet, the one who didn't care. And even though William refuses to publicly correct the record, those close to him say it's killing him, because in his mind, he did try. He made phone calls. He extended private invitations. He warned Harry about moving too fast with Meghan, not out of malice, but out of concern. And for that, he was vilified. Now every time he steps up to represent the crown at charity events, diplomatic meetings, family occasions, there's a shadow, a constant reminder that the other half of the team is missing, and not just missing, actively undermining. Some royal aides say William doesn't even want Harry back anymore, that the betrayal, both public and personal, has pushed things too far. There's no coming back from this, one source said. Not after everything that's been said, not after the trust was shattered so publicly. But while William may have hardened, the world hasn't stopped watching Harry, and now even the press is starting to ask the unthinkable. Is Prince Harry still relevant at all?
He has admitted to illegal drug use as well in the past.
There was a time when Prince Harry could walk into a room and instantly steal the spotlight. He was the cheeky royal, the soldier prince, the one who made the monarchy feel, dare we say it, human. But lately, that sparkle's gone, and the press isn't just noticing, they're naming it. One scathing headline recently called Harry a shiny appendage, still technically attached to royalty, but serving no real purpose, a decorative leftover from an institution that's moved on without him. And as cruel as it sounds, it's a sentiment that's spreading, because outside the echo chamber of Sussex supporters, the mood has shifted. Royal commentators, former aides, even longtime fans are asking the same question: what does Harry actually do anymore? He's not working royals. He's not a regular celebrity. He's not leading any new groundbreaking initiatives. Even the Accusations brand, once pitched as a bold new platform for change, has grown quiet. Sporadic updates, failed trademarks, one-off appearances, and nothing truly lands. Some say Harry is caught in an identity crisis, too royal to fully integrate into Hollywood, but too rogue to be welcomed back into the firm. And while Meghan seems comfortable navigating that gray zone, booking panels, giving speeches, curating her next product drop, Harry looks lost, like a man between worlds, watching his relevance erode by the week. At a recent event, reporters noted how Harry stood awkwardly to the side, rarely approached, clearly unsettled. One journalist commented, "He wasn't the star. He wasn't even the supporting cast. He was just there." And that's the problem. Being just there is not what Harry was born to be. He was meant for duty, visibility, service. Instead, he's now a symbol of what happens when a prince steps away from his platform and the world forgets why they ever cared. Behind the scenes, some palace sources whisper that this fade into irrelevance is exactly what senior royals predicted, that without the structure of royal life, Harry would drift, that without the boundaries, he'd lose focus.
It would be pretty embarrassing, I think, for the king, should something like this get out.
And that's exactly what seems to be happening. But the fade might not be accidental, because rumors are swirling that the palace isn't just watching him slip into obscurity. They might be preparing to cut ties for good. For years, the idea was unthinkable. Even after Megxit, even after the Oprah bombshells and the Netflix drama and Spare, there was still a sense that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex would keep their titles, a line the royals wouldn't cross, a symbol of connection, however strained. But now, that line might be dissolving. According to multiple palace insiders, private conversations have quietly reignited around the idea of formally stripping Harry and Meghan of their Duke and Duchess status. Not as a punishment, but as a necessity, because in the eyes of some senior courtiers, the titles are no longer just symbolic, they're a liability. One source close to the inner royal circle reportedly said, "There's growing concern that the Sussex name is being used to launch projects that don't reflect the dignity or values of the monarchy." Another added, "They're still trading on royal prestige while trashing the institution that gave it to them." At some point, that contradiction becomes untenable. It's not just the palace murmuring either. Media pressure is mounting. Prominent British journalists have openly questioned why Harry and Meghan continue to hold these honors when they no longer represent the crown in any capacity. And after Meghan's latest product line rollout, complete with high society aesthetics and subtle royal nods, the debate has flared back to life. Public opinion is beginning to tilt. A recent UK poll reportedly found that more than half of respondents now support a formal title removal, especially if the Sussexes continue to monetize their royal status while critiquing the institution. But here's where things get even more complicated. Removing the titles wouldn't just be controversial, it would be historic. It hasn't happened on this scale in modern memory, and some senior royals fear it could make Harry more dangerous, not less. A completely unbound prince, one with no restrictions and nothing left to lose? Still, others say that risk is already here, that Harry and Meghan have already crossed the line again and again, and that stripping their titles wouldn't provoke anything, it would just make the reality official. But perhaps the biggest obstacle isn't legal or political, it's emotional, because as fractured as things are, King Charles is still a father, and some say he just doesn't have it in him to take that step yet. But the pressure is rising, and if the royals don't act, some fear they'll look weak. And in the middle of it all, the door to reconciliation, once slightly ajar, is now slamming shut.
Look, Harry, here's your little kids. You're a father. Here's your kids. It's lovely. Father's Day.
Once upon a time, there were whispers of hope. Private talks behind palace walls, secret Zoom calls between brothers, the occasional leak about King Charles being open to healing the family divide. But now, that hope is gone. Not fading, gone. And those same insiders who once hinted at reconciliation are now using a very different word: impossible. According to one veteran royal aide, the sentiment inside Buckingham and Kensington is grim. There's no roadmap back, they said. Too much was said, too much was printed, and too much trust was shattered on both sides. And it's not just about the Oprah interview anymore, or the Netflix docu-series, or even Spare, the ghost-written memoir that gutted relationships like a scalpel. It's about the pattern. The feeling that Harry and Meghan always find a way to throw the royals under the bus, then act shocked when no one wants to ride with them. William especially is done. Several sources say he's reached a point of emotional finality, a quiet, firm decision that the past cannot be undone, and that engaging again would only invite more drama. He won't play the game, one insider said. He tried. He got burned. He won't go back. Even the king, once viewed as Harry's last soft landing, has begun to shift. While Charles still privately checks in, the tone has reportedly changed. More formal, less frequent. Courtiers describe the conversations as polite but distant, the kind of diplomacy you use with an estranged relative, not a beloved son. Meanwhile, Meghan is said to be unmoved by the silence. One source close to her team claims she's accepted the distance and is focusing solely on her brand and new projects. There's no strategy for repair, only reinvention. And here's the tragic part. For all the fame, for all the independence and headlines and freedom Harry claimed he wanted, what he may have lost forever is the one thing he can't replicate: his family. No more Sunday lunches at Sandringham, no more inside jokes with William, no more quiet moments with his father on the Balmoral grounds. All of that gone, and still the question lingers: did Harry walk away, or was he pushed? Because either way, the end result is the same: he's out. And that exile has come at a cost. No title, no Netflix deal, no Hollywood cameo could ever replace. And the fallout? It's still unfolding.
He looks like he's lost the will to live. He looks totally vacant.
You can dress it up in designer suits and sunny California press tours. You can put the palace in your rearview mirror and pretend the past is boxed up and buried. But the truth, it always lingers. And for Prince Harry, the cost of walking away has never been clearer. On paper, it looked like freedom, a clean break, a new life, a chance to escape the rigid grip of protocol and finally breathe. But in reality, it's been anything but simple. What Harry gained in independence, he lost in identity. And what he left behind, family, duty, legacy, has begun to haunt the narrative he's tried so hard to control. Insiders say the emotional toll is setting in, that Harry has become noticeably more withdrawn in recent months, that his usual spark, once his signature, now flickers inconsistently, visible in rare moments, then snuffed out again by something heavier, something he doesn't talk about even with friends. They also say the silence from William cuts the deepest, not because Harry expected a warm welcome back, but because in some part of him, he still hoped for something, a sign, a message, an acknowledgement that no matter what happened, they were still blood. Instead, he got silence, no replies, no olive branches, no movement. And it's that stillness, so final, so cold, that's reportedly shaken him the most. But it's not just about brotherhood. It's about reputation, about legacy, about realizing that the global spotlight doesn't burn as bright without the royal machinery behind you. That press access, diplomatic clout, and reverent coverage don't come from charisma alone. They come from the crown. Even Hollywood, once enamored with the Sussex story, seems to be cooling. Invitations that once poured in are slowing. Collaborations are stalling. And Meghan's PR push, no matter how polished, can't fully eclipse the elephant in the room. The firm they tried to outplay is still standing, and they're still very much on the outside. And for Harry, that outsider status feels permanent now. He may have made his choice, but the weight of that decision is no longer hypothetical. It's real, it's lived, and it shows. So where does he go from here? That's the question no one, not the palace, not Hollywood, not even Harry himself seems ready to answer. But you tell us, was this all worth it? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.